And go. We are live. Hello, everyone. It's the weekly live stream from the Age Diversity Forum. My name's Steve Anderson, and I'm here with my colleague Sadie. Hi, Sadie.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm all right, thank you, Steve. How are you?
Good, good. Yes, very well. It's been a hot week in the UK.
Oh,
Someone has turned absolutely the heat up on the sun, and typical UK, we love to moan when it's not warm and sunny, but when it gets really warm and sunny, I think it gives us cause to have a gripe as well. So, welcome everyone. Those who are watching live on YouTube and LinkedIn. I know we're live on LinkedIn because it's something that I saw pop up on my LinkedIn profile earlier. So, and I did notice people were liking and sharing it. So I would hope at least, some of those people come and join us. But if not, these are recorded and are maintained on both platforms, I think, for a number of weeks after this event. I think it's right, Sadie, isn't it?
Yeah, they'll stay up.
But then also our editor-in-chief, that is Sadie. You've started a new process of providing some edited materials.
Yeah, so every Monday there'll be a video release called live stream clips, and it will be probably the best parts, that shall we say, of the live stream, or the conversations that make you question things. I'll re-upload them and they'll be posted every Monday. So
fantastic. The best part, that's the whole half hour, surely.
the whole thing is amazing, but
I just reiterate, yes, we are here for half an hour every Friday. So if you haven't got it in your diaries yet, please bookmark us or schedule us or do whatever you have to do to ensure that this is a regular visit, because it is our opportunity to talk about everything age diversity, to look at topical points of conversations that we are seeing ourselves from our own work internally and working with our champion partners, but also what the world is saying, whether that's articles and news from all four corners of the globe. And I think Sadie and I were just talking beforehand, we're generally not disappointed in finding articles about age diversity challenges in the workplace. And it's interesting in a way that every week we find bits of news and articles and maybe some new data or some data that's been derived from some type of survey. Yet the age agenda still isn't getting maybe the traction that it deserves as part of the inclusion agenda, even though it is as wrong, as unjust, and in most countries, most developed countries, as illegal to discriminate against age. But just talking about discrimination against age, again, one of Sadie's new series is called
What Can We Do to Stop Ageism?
Thank you, Sadie. I thought I was setting you up for a fall.
Oh, you have me there. I was going through everything.
But what can we do to stop ageism? Such a bold statement. I noticed, so I'll come back to what I was going to say in a minute. Just in the one of the BBC on the BBC website this week, there's some talking about racism in some shape or form, but the image was just someone holding up a placard, "End racism." Really bold statements being made by other parts of the D&I agenda. So we thought, Sadie thought, let's apply that to ageism, and why not? It's an ism that absolutely requires attention. So we hope that bold title, it comes with bold ambition to provide some very practical and quite short instruction, I think, as much as anything. to answer that question, what can you do? So if you look at those, and they're all on our YouTube channel, Sadie, yeah?
So there are 3 at the moment, but there'll be more forthcoming.
But I think the YouTube channel is developing into a real inventory of information now, isn't it? There's quite a lot of stuff on there now. All part of our Making a Noise campaign that began at the beginning of the year, which we started, and this live stream is part of that program to really amplify the message of age diversity, of the challenges, but also the values and the opportunities that exist for organisations. I thought we were going to get a little hashtag there, Sadie. Come on.
There it is.
So we encourage everyone, when they're using your digital media, either individually or as an organisation, please use the hashtag Making a Noise. It references age diversity, and we want more people raising awareness, more people talking about it, raising the profile. Without that engagement, and we said this before, without the engagement, particularly through our ChampionAge Diversity program, you know, as an organisation, we're here to make a difference. We're a not-for-profit organisation. Without that partnering with organisations that have those common values and that ambition and strategy to convert policy into practice, then, you know, nothing's going to change. So we'd encourage people to engage, get behind the campaign, Making a Noise, and it's easy. Just use the hashtag. The more of us using that hashtag, the more awareness we can raise. But yes, so age discrimination. There was an article someone sent to me. Our good friend Tony Williams, I've mentioned him a few times. Tony's a great advocate and friend of the Age Diversity Forum, pointed me towards a McKinsey article that talked about, you know, things that we've talked about on here, and we always talk about on here, about older people of the workforce that have been lost to the workplace, usually through poor decision making by organisations not recognising the values and benefits of having that experience, that know-how, those skills within an organisation. But as populations around the world are living longer but healthier and want to continue to contribute to the workplace, why isn't it that employers are not employing older people? And I think they gathered an amount of data, and basically came down to employers are discriminating because of people's age. So, you know, quite simple, and as bold as our, you know, what can we do to stop ageism? McKinsey, who are, you know, I think they found a position in this environment where much of their information and data is taken as being valuable and credible and you know, informative. So if an organisation like McKinsey are absolutely calling this out as age discrimination, what can we do about it? Well, I guess, how do we link those two? First and foremost, just go and look at the videos that we're beginning on YouTube. It sounds a bit churlish almost, but because we address the fundamentals of the employment environment, which is recruitment, and we've done a what can you do to stop on recruitment, and we've got more sessions coming on training and continued development whilst in work, and retention of those skills and experiences. Why aren't organisations not only employing people, but why aren't they continuing training? And that was in another article that we saw this week. It's from someone called Staff in Industry Analysis, and I'm sorry, I didn't know who this group are. They're they're providing some data, some percentages of people that do various things or don't do various things, and organisations that do and everything. Not clear where it actually comes from, and it talks about elements of the UK, but it also talks about workers aged 55 and over, which is more of a age range that's used in North America. So I'm wondering whether there's some use of some cross use of bits of data and sources of information here. But the main thrust of the article is talking about older people in the workplace that are getting left behind when it comes to continued opportunities to develop skills, training, personal development. And again, this is something that we've seen, and I'm sure we've mentioned before. Some of our own research and information tells us that around the late sort of 30s, mid-30s, late 30s, training within the workplace tends to start to wane, if not drop off, because at a certain point there's this perception that, well, you're sort of old enough, you've been with this, you know, a little bit of time, you know what you're doing, you know, surely you don't need to learn anything new. Whereas, you know, things are changing, things develop, whether that's technology or markets or the way we work. Again, we're still working remotely. The UK, as of Monday just gone, eased a load of restrictions, although from what I've seen and heard so far, I don't think anyone's really changed in terms of their working practices and behaviours, and so I think there's always things to learn. There's always things to exchange in terms of information. Again, we come back to that multi-generational aspect. Why it's important to have different generational groups that do exist now in the workplace. You know, working together, supporting each other, developing from each other, coaching, mentoring, reverse mentoring. Sadie, I'm going to take a breath. Anything you wanted to add on that? I know you've had. You may want to repeat stuff that we've said in the past, but I think it's important at times to reiterate the positives of intergenerational working.
Yeah, I think when we come together as different age groups, our knowledge can be shared easier, and it can get rid of not a lot of differences, but a lot of misunderstandings that happen between age groups. It can take away the clashing when we all just work together instead of fighting one another. So yeah, I think it should be encouraged within every workforce and every work group.
Absolutely. And to that end, we're actually working on a project at the moment with one of our champion partners, and I should mention the champion mark again. Our main way of engagement with organisations is through our, thank you, Sadie, is through our ChampionAge Diversity engagement programme, where we invite organisations to be considerate of age diversity in the workplace and engage certain behaviours, certain actions, certain levels of policy and governance to cover, often to manage the things that we've as broad as possibly can be, to ensure that training continues across the workforce, whatever your age, and that retention in the workforce is considered on a level playing field as well. So, you know, age is not a part of that consideration of any of those elements. It's about having the right people, the best people for the job, best people for the role. And if you do that, the retention part becomes a bit easier actually, because if you get those multi-generational groups working really well together, as Sadie was just describing, then generally your business is going to perform better. If your business performs better, your productivity and profitability will go up, and the organisation becomes a bigger employer. So it's actually a job creating opportunity for organisations to consider age diversity in their workplace. and that's such a powerful impact to global economies. So our ambition as an organisation is to use that ChampionAge Diversity engagement, and one of the opportunities for our partners is to use the Champion accreditation mark, and we've seen how that mark can be commercially beneficial for organisations that are tendering for new contracts, particularly in the public sector environment, where a consideration for inclusion is absolutely an advantage, something to leverage the organisation on in terms of its standards of operation, its standards of welfare for staff, but also the community that it's working in as well. So to reiterate something we talk about all the time as well, this the opportunity to engage with the inclusion agenda through age is, of course, it's the right thing to do, but it goes beyond the moral compass and it's business imperative. And we hear from organisations now that use the mark in terms of their commercial outlook, but also to encourage their external suppliers, their supply chain, to think about raising their inclusion standards. And by doing that, they get better value for money. So there's some real strong commercial advantages to be gained from coming on board with us as champions. So if you're not already, we've got a growing band of partners. Please send us an email. Thank you, Sadie. Let's start the conversation. Because that intergenerational working is absolutely an area of our partner program where we work with organisations to help them achieve that. And I was just about to say, we're working on a particular project with an organisation that are looking to consolidate some of their activities around different generational groups in the workforce under a common umbrella. And apologies if you can hear our head of security in my office. So ChampionAge Diversity, we are very proud to say our peers are the likes of Stonewall, LGBT, and their Business Disability Forum. And I know many organisations, know these organisations from their parts of the diversity agenda. They're very long-standing organisations, but really pleased to say that we're operating in similar ways for the age agenda. So if you know those organisations already, then you'll be you should feel confident and find familiarity with how we operate and how we work, but given that focus on the age agenda. So please, we'd love to hear from you. Another article I wanted to pick up on this week. Again, I raised this with Sadie again just before going live, and again we had some different perspectives on this data, but again we're seeing this a bit as well. There was an article in a national newspaper this week where HSBC it talked about some analysis from HSBC. I'm not quite sure how involved they were, so apologies if HSBC you're out there and you wasn't completely part of this, but we would love to talk to HSBC more about the work they're doing. We've had initial conversations. We want to do more, so please contact us. But there was a discussion, again, as a consequence of the pandemic, COVID situation, that there was, in various countries, there's a lower birth rate being recorded. I actually thought it might have been the other way. I thought COVID might have encouraged more baby booming activity, but apparently not, according to this particular piece of analysis. I'm just going to get up on my screen here. By the way, we're going to give Sadie, I think we're going to put some links to this stuff in the in the YouTube.
All the articles we're talking about will be available in the description of this video once it's uploaded to YouTube.
So in this particular article, actually, yes, the US, the Wall Street, some Wall Street analysis from Morgan Stanley and HSBC. We're basically talking about this situation of a slump in births is going to have a negative impact to the economy because in time there won't be as many younger people coming into the workplace. But it does mention briefly, I believe, somewhere that the global population, and again we've talked about this, described as a global megatrend, is living longer, but also healthier and wanting to continue to contribute more in the workplace. And there's various reasons behind that, because people want to, because they enjoy the workplace, they enjoy that social engagement, but also people are having to work longer as well, to pay their own way in life because of the pension insecurities that have materialized over the last number of years, because of the stress on the state having to pay for people retiring. We're seeing retirement ages, standard retirement ages in different countries being pushed out. In the UK, it's now at 68, I think, for certain age groups. I think it's 67, 68, where it was, for women 60, for men 65, or, forever. Now it's being pushed out, and I'm sure that will keep being pushed out. But interesting that the lower birth rate is being used as a club almost to talk about the problems for younger people, whereas maybe it gives opportunity for employers to think more broadly about their recruitment market. Coming back to what McKinsey were talking about, they're saying employers are not looking at the older demographic. And and that was a US survey, I think. So they start counting people in the older category from 55 years old. Now, I just mentioned in the UK, the normal retirement age, I think that's what they call it, being 67. You've got 12-year gap just between those two metrics. So what about those people that sit there, it seems they're being overlooked for employment chances. That's what McKinsey say. And yet this other article that we will include a link to is saying that because there's not so many new babies, there might be less people to take up jobs, but actually there's probably people available to take those jobs now that aren't getting the opportunity. Sadie, you had an immediate thing I'd even thought about in terms of working mums, for example, or
Yeah, so if you don't have a child, you don't have to take maternity leave, and you don't have to go on family holidays, and you don't have to spend time with your kids, and there'll be, I don't know, maybe you don't have to, there's just less need to not work if you don't have a kid. So surely it would boost the economy because there are more people working, and it would just, people can be hired then.
And also, with that argument in place, that isn't part of that article. If we're talking about people not having so many babies, the women involved there, and again, I want to be careful here about, generally, women have children at a certain age, And generally, if we talk about that generally, that's generally a younger, certainly younger than 55, without dismissing the opportunities that, you know, we read stories all the time about older women having, but if there's less babies being produced by younger women who, as you say, won't have those potentially responsibilities that make them take different choices depending on their situation, but who want to do both anyway, you know, have a family but also work. But if they're not having those families, then they want to work, then surely that is an opportunity to have a job and for the economy to benefit from that availability.
Yeah, and I think also there's a whole other layer to that where even from a young age, women always ask, when are you having kids? I mean, obviously not when you're like 6, but it's always been put there's always women will have children. That's always the way it is. But with this, like women's rights and feminism and everyone just realizing that maybe there is more to a woman than just having children, that isn't their only responsibility, that maybe people are realizing they don't have to have children, they can follow a career path, they can do things that they want to do, not just that don't revolve around having kids. I think, yeah, new age of feminism kind of brings that on.
Yeah, you're so right, and you know, we should be broadening the opportunities, not diminishing them. So yeah, it's an interesting article because in some ways it's quite conflictive with itself, and also a very pessimistic outlook on. And as you say, it must be referring to women as well, you know, because the women actually give birth, you know. So in some ways, it's been quite derogatory for people of all ages, I think, and for the gender question as well. And again, so we've touched on a number of times during our discussions is that intersectional opportunity, that consideration for age gives, where we've seen the term older women used a lot, and not in a positive way. So on that note, I recognise we're nearly at the 30 minutes already. As usual, we find ourselves rattling through this half an hour. So thank you for those who've been with us, and otherwise, and if you watching this subsequently, then we'd love to hear your comments and thoughts, so please reach out to us. I say now we're on LinkedIn, happy to, I think it's through my own LinkedIn channel. Very happy to, you know, take messages and anything you want to ask through that forum as well. So please do that. But just to say as well, we are working on some quite exciting stuff with some new research and some data opportunities. So certainly in the second half of this year, you'll be seeing more on that from us, and hopefully some information and data and evidence that provides some support and help to decision making, rather than, I think, this article we've just been discussing doesn't really say much, and it's sort of, I think it's just stoking various fires of where it doesn't really need to. So hopefully we'll be, you know, some of our own original content that we've already got, particularly through our YouTube, you know, the What Can We Do series and the snapshot series. The snapshot series. It's difficult for me to say, which is every Wednesday, I think, as well. So I think, yes. So please, there's at least 3 times a week, on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, where you can interact with us via YouTube, via LinkedIn, via live stream. Please do. We'd love to see and hear from you. And I'll leave you, if there's nothing else, Sadie?
No, nothing else I've got to say.
I'll leave you with our campaign mantra, which is join us on the journey. This is something we started saying sort of just as a matter of course, but it's stuck because it's a call to action. It's our call to action to everyone out there to use those hashtags of Making a Noise, ChampionAge Diversity, to get your organisation to come and talk to us about being a champion and being accredited to use that opportunity. But let's really raise the profile of age diversity, and yeah, join us on the journey. On that note, thank you, Sadie. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you again next week.